Hey, what's up? It's Sean with STC Dressage. Today we're going back to basics. It's all about the aids. So, we all know that there are 6 basic aids, right? 4 of them are considered natural, 2 of them are considered artificial. We'll start with the natural aids. The 4 natural aids, first you've got your hands, then you've got the legs, then you've got the weight or the seat, and finally your voice. So then we go into the 2 artificial aids. And the first one we'll talk about is the whip. So the second artificial aid is the spur. So when we're talking about the hands, what we're talking about is the connection with the bit, at least as far as we're talking about in dressage. So when we're creating the energy with a horse, when we're getting them to work from their hind leg over their back, you want to think that it's a bit of a cycle, if you will, where that energy comes from the hind leg over the back into the hand and then recycles back again to the hind leg. And it's just a continuous cycle that way, constantly recycling, if you will, that energy that you're creating from the hind leg. The leg, on the other hand, has a number of different purposes. It can be used for both driving as well as lateral aids. So if you're just looking to get your horse to go forward, you'd put both legs on evenly, or maybe in the case of the canter, one leg slightly back. But either way, both legs are coming on, sending the horse forward, right? The second way of using the leg is to go sideways, and typically we'd use either one leg by itself or perhaps one leg a little bit more dominantly than the other leg when we're asking to go sideways. The examples of that would be either in a leg yield or a half pass or even in a shoulder in or a travers. So then we come to the weight or the seat. The seat again also has 2 different purposes. One is again assisting with the horse going forward or even actually coming back. When you're thinking about going forward, you could open the hips a little bit, swing through a little bit more, follow through a little bit more with the hips, I should say, and it will help encourage the horse to take a larger step. So if you're going from a working canter to an extended canter, you'd think about opening the hips, following through a little bit more, and the horse will typically go forward within that. Then again, to bring them back, you would think just to follow a little bit less. Some people say to sit deep in the saddle. I personally don't like that. For me, if you're thinking about driving your seat down into the saddle too much, you can actually go too far with that and drive the horse's back right out from underneath you. So I generally don't encourage people to sit deep in the saddle when they're coming back. I think more along the lines of just following a little bit less with the seat and sit slightly against the motion, not to where you're bracing, but just slightly against the motion, and they will usually come back a little bit better from that. The other way to use the seat, again, is also in the lateral work. So if you're thinking if you're going into a half pass to the left, you're going to shift your weight over into the left seat bone, and the horse is going to follow along with that in addition to using the leg aid. It's a combination of the aids together that really gets the ideal response. Finally, we come to the voice aids, and the voice aids can be any number of different things, from actually speaking the words walk, trot, canter. You can use them with inflection, so trot or and walk, and so you're using those different tones of voice, and the horse will actually pick up on the different tones of voice a little bit. Then of course you've got clucking, or using the little chirping noise like we do sometimes. And those all have their own uses and benefits. Some horses respond better than others. Again, it kind of comes down to practice. The more you use them, the more the horse actually will become accustomed to responding to them if you pair them the right way with your other aids. So then we go into the 2 artificial aids. And the first one we'll talk about is the whip. Now, generally speaking, the whip should only be used if the horse does not respond to your leg. It is a backup. That's why they're artificial aids. It's a backup to your natural leg, which is the leg. If the horse does not respond quickly, you can give him a quick tap with the whip, and that's it. And then go back to the quieter aid with the leg. So then the second artificial aid is the spur. And it's the same thing with the whip. The horse doesn't respond to the initial quiet leg aid, so you can give him a quick, sharp little kick with the spur. And again, the point is that you come behind that quiet aid that didn't get a response. You get the response with the spur, and then you go back to using the nice quiet leg aid again if your correction was effective. The big thing to remember about the artificial aids is that they're supposed to be backup, right? They're not supposed to be used all the time. If you are, there's something wrong. There is a basic fundamental problem with the response to the leg, and you've got to address that first. If you're having trouble in lateral work, if you're having trouble in flying changes, piaffe, doesn't matter what it is, if you're having to constantly come in with that spur or that whip, there is a basic problem that comes way back before all those tricks that you've got to fix. So you need to think about going all the way back to transitions, walk, trot, trot, canter, even canter to walk and walk to canter, and get the basic response to those aids a little bit better, because that basic response just isn't working. And if you can get that response and then go back to the lateral work, you'll find you'll have a much easier time, and you'll start to get the lateral work and all the other tricks, if you will, much more easily, and everything will start to work a lot better. But it always comes back to a very fundamental issue that's just not working. So always go back to basics. So that's it for today, covering the 4 basic natural aids as well as the 2 artificial aids. If you've got any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. It's right there. Click it. And we'll see you next time.